How fast can you travel in Minecraft? It's a question that I asked way back in 2015 when, let's face it, times were simpler. There were far fewer ways to travel quickly in Minecraft, so the selection was fairly small. Now we're playing in Minecraft 1.14, and, well, we've got all sorts of options, so I thought it would be worth experimenting. Now, the way that I've set this place up is we have got 500 block long strips that we are going to be traveling through. I'm going to time myself from start to finish. We're going to take the duration of my travel, and then we're going to use that to calculate our blocks per second. And before all of you start shouting at me down in the comment section about the reliability of the readings, I did 5 runs of each, and then I calculated an average time, and that's what I'm drawing conclusions from. I know, pretty scientific. Sprinting. I remember when this was first introduced into the game, and it felt like we were traveling through Minecraft at lightning speed. We would sprint everywhere, amazed at how fast we were now able to get around. But I think it's safe to say that it's not exactly the quickest method of transport in 2019, taking 1 minute 29.5 seconds to cover the full 500 blocks. That's 5.6 blocks per second. Not exactly setting the world on fire, is it? I mean, that is slow even by human standards. Apparently the average human should be able to sprint at 7.1 meters a second, so I have clearly been slacking. Sprint jumping on packed ice. Not exactly the most modern of designs, but it's a design that I see all the time on Minecraft servers because it's so easy to construct. All you need is a line of ice blocks, then 2 blocks above, a line of regular blocks, and then you can jump, bumping your head off the ceiling, and you will accelerate off into the distance. It took 29.5 seconds to complete the full 500 blocks, which is 16.9 blocks per second. Not bad. Not bad at all. I guess the only negative with this design is that it requires ice, which of course means you need a silk touch pickaxe. The powered minecart rail. Not the most exciting of designs. I mean, it's powered rails. There's nothing fancy about it, and also not exactly the fastest designs either. 1 minute and 3.2 seconds to complete the full 500 blocks, giving us a 7.9 blocks per second speed. And for what it is, it's pretty expensive. I mean, obviously, I don't expect you guys to be building your rails on redstone blocks. That does definitely add some cost. But all of the gold involved in this thing makes it a fairly pricey endeavor for something that's not actually that quick. Ice jumping, but with added trapdoors. Now, the logic behind this one was always that with the standard ice pack, you had quite a lot of distance to jump. The trapdoors actually reduce that distance, meaning that you get more jumps in a shorter space of time, which makes you travel faster. And it does, but it also increases the amount of food that you require. This is the only design in the video that actually made me eat before I reached the end, and that hurt the time. 33.4 seconds through the full 500 blocks, which is 15 blocks per second. So the added wood cost of all of the trapdoors and also the added time of having to place in all of those trapdoors, for me personally, isn't really worth it. Sprint jumping on blue ice. For those who don't know, blue ice is slightly slippier than other types of ice in Minecraft. Now, I wasn't certain if this would translate to the player and create a faster time, but it actually did. It was just very, very marginal. 28.7 seconds to do the full length compared to 29.5 with regular ice. That gives us a blocks per second of 17.4. Is the slight increase in speed worth it? I would say probably not, just because blue ice is really quite expensive. Unless you find it at the bottom of an iceberg, 1 block of blue ice requires 9 blocks of packed ice. And if you don't have an ice spikes biome nearby, then you're going to need to craft up the packed ice, and that requires 9 blocks of regular ice, which means that in 1 block of blue ice, there is 81 bits of regular ice. There's 81 bits of ice in there. The Elektra Flight. I think we can all agree that the Elektra and firework rockets is a fantastically fast method of transport in Minecraft, and the results definitely show it. 15 seconds to do the full 500 blocks, which is 33.3 blocks per second. The only slight issue for the average player is that the Elektra are fairly difficult to come by. They're definitely an endgame item, and also to get a sustainable supply of gunpowder for the firework rockets is also quite a tricky endeavor. So for the average player, this might not be obtainable. But for absolute pros like myself and the other members of the Hermitcraft server who have these things just lying around in junk chests, well then, yeah, it's definitely a good way to go. Blue ice jumping with speed 2. I promise this is the last of the ice jumping tests. I just wanted to see how much speed 2 affected it. Obviously you could run those beacons along the pathway if it was good, but it makes little to no difference, really. 26.7 seconds to cover the full 500 blocks, which is 18.7 blocks per second. And it makes it considerably more expensive than it already was. You either have to take a potion every single time you want to run down the path, which isn't perfect, or alternatively, you have beacons going all the way across it, which is going to cost a fortune if it's many thousands of blocks long. Boat on an ice path. This is definitely one of my personal favourites because I don't have to mash the keyboard to get anywhere quickly, and get places quickly I do. 15.2 seconds to cover the full length, 32.9 blocks per second. That is nuts. That is so fast. And obviously it works in the nether like all of these previous designs do, which means that your blocks per second in the overworld are going to be 8 times faster. I mean, what would that be? Like 240 blocks per second? More? Like 260 blocks per second being travelled in the overworld? That's almost rude. Boat on a blue ice path. As mentioned earlier on, blue ice is slippier than other types of ice in Minecraft, and it makes a big difference when riding in a boat. As you can tell from the speed that I'm talking, is too fast. 11.1 seconds to do the full length, 45 blocks per second. Did I get it all out in time? I don't know. Oh, it's getting tricky to actually get all of the information out in the clip of me using the path itself. That was pretty bonkers. I would definitely say that is worth the cost of the blue ice. It may be considerably more expensive, but it leads to a 50% improvement in the time. Over 500 blocks, it only leads to 4 seconds, but if you're talking a 10,000 block long tunnel, then that is going to save considerable amounts of time. And your average blocks per second is also going to be considerably higher because these boats take quite a long time to accelerate. They go very fast, but they take a while to get going. So I thought I'd do a secondary experiment here where we take the second half, the final 250 blocks. So we've had a 250 block running start and then do the average speed there. And the results are pretty wild. In the final 250 blocks on the packed ice, it did it in 6.3 seconds, which is 39.7 blocks per second. And then on the blue ice, it did it in 250 blocks covered in 4 seconds. That is 62.5 blocks per second, which means that if you built that blue ice path in the nether, you were travelling at exactly 500 blocks per second in the overworld. 500 blocks per second, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know what to say. And if you're sat there also not knowing what to say, because you're completely confused by all of this nether and overworld stuff, don't worry, I'll put some information down in the description for you. Dolphins Grace swimming path. As if I didn't think things could get faster, they have. 9 seconds to do 500 blocks, 55.6 blocks per second. But, and it's a very big but, it doesn't work in the nether. And the main reason why we create fast transport is for use in the nether. That's the reason we always create nether hubs and things, and then you have your tunnels leading off them that you can get to other places in the world quickly. It just doesn't quite cut the mustard, unfortunately. With that being said, it can be faster. Dolphins Grace, but also with speed too. 6.6 seconds to do the full 500 blocks, which is 74.1 blocks per second. What planet are we on? Those are some seriously ridiculous numbers. Like, totally ridiculous numbers. But once again, it doesn't work in the nether. However, I mean, imagine constructing like a water highway through the ocean to get between bases. I mean, at those speeds, in the overworld, you can cover 740 blocks within 10 seconds. Oh, Minecraft. The Piston Bolt. These used to be the fastest ways that you could transport yourself in Minecraft. 5.2 seconds to cover 100 blocks, which is nearly 20 blocks per second. And the only thing that stopped it from being 20 blocks per second, because that's the speed that these things technically run at, is client-side lag. I could see that last piston extending when I was around about here, so that means that the minecart had actually reached the end and was being pushed by it, but the visuals were kind of running behind the game itself. I absolutely love these things. I think they're fantastic, and although they're not the fastest, they're definitely my favourite. I think it's time for some honourable mentions. Piston bolts aren't generally built straight. Normally they're built diagonally, and that leads to a slightly faster speed of 28 blocks per second. Just out of pure vanity, it looked pretty horrible when I constructed it. And then also, I thought a big honourable mention that I would do is the Psycraft Ender Cannon that they've built on the Psycraft server, which teleports you, I think, 60,000 blocks almost instantly. It's the strangest thing on the planet, but I'm fairly certain it wouldn't work in Minecraft 1.14 due to the removal of chunk loaders, so sadly can't really make the list. Another interesting avenue that I wanted to go down was the Ravager screaming, lava firing, shield holding system created by Simply Sark, which is completely bonkers. I'll put a link to it down in the description, but unfortunately it might be patched in Minecraft 1.14.4 because I can't get it to fire me more than about 400 blocks. The Wildcard. How would you like to cover the full 500 blocks in 4 seconds? doing 125 blocks per second. The only slight catch is that it needs to be raining. Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of an issue, isn't it? You want to get somewhere, it's really, really urgent, and you have to wait for a storm for you to actually be able to use your hyper-fast method of transport. Either way, when it happens big. It is so much fun shooting around. Elektra, Riptide 3 on your Trident, and a rainstorm. You're breaking just all sorts of speed limits. And finally, one for the really, really smart people down in the comment section. The people who always say, I like to teleport. Well, let's see how fast that is. /TP. Oh, where am I going? Okay, /TP. Mumbo Jumbo. Okay. 531. 60. 69. It's taking me 25 seconds. That's slower than a lot of the methods. I'm not very fast at typing, you see. Hopefully that keeps you really, really smart people quiet. Anyway, let's move on to the results, shall we? And here they are in chronological order. Now we've got two sets of results. This first set is the straight up blocks per second. This is how many blocks per second we covered using the time taken to travel through our 500 block course. That is it, completely unadjusted. Then this second set of results, also in chronological order, is our overworld blocks per second. Now these have been adjusted to reflect how fast the player will be moving in the overworld if these transportation methods were being used in the nether. Obviously the ones that can't be used in the nether, like the dolphin ones and the Trident Elektra ones, their results have remained unchanged. And you can see the massive difference, in fact the complete flip around of the results. So we have it, ladies and gents. I think that answers the question of what is the fastest way to travel in Minecraft. If there's some methods that I've forgotten about, then please let me know down in the comment section so I can cry myself to sleep tonight. I'll be very upset. I spent a long time working on this. But anyway, I really do hope that you enjoyed, and I'll catch you again in the next video. See ya! Hey, what are you doing? You sticking around? What? I said goodbye. You're still here. I guess you could maybe check out some of the things on the screen right now. Filming channel bits. Worked really hard on that mini documentary. I'm sure you'd love it if you watched it. And I don't know what to say. Goodbye. One.